It's like, oh, it's a glare. How lovely. Over here trying to turn this light off. I'm turning that light off. Nope, still there.
Yeah.
Totally get it. All right, ladies, you ready to rock and roll?
Yep. Ready.
Let's have a fantastic show. Here we go.
The following program is being brought to you on the Voice America Health and Wellness Channel. For more information about our network and to check our additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericahealth.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
Like so many others, who you are is largely a result of your past. We have so many positive and not so positive experiences that we start to doubt ourselves and our place in this world. Let the healing process start now. Welcome to Shift Happens with karinw, Ida Serino-Lee, and Jessica Durrell. When you start to focus on healing from the inside out, you'll learn so much more about your own health, your well-being, and your state of mind. Once you've started on that, the rest gets a little bit easier every day. Now, here is your host, karinw, and this week's co-host.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Shift Happens. And this is the place where every week we do everything that we can to help you find ways that you can make your life better and hence create this beautiful ripple effect in the world, because we are so much more powerful than we give ourselves credit for the most part. So when we can learn specific things that we can do to help create a better world, that is what I'm here for and what the show is truly all about. And today, I know we're rolling into a holiday season and next week is Christmas already. I cannot believe it. I have an incredibly powerful guest today. And today's topic is going to be a little heavy. It's a dark place to go to, but it's there in the world. And you know what happens when we shine the light into the dark places? We bring it out into the light, and we can undo the best that we can the things that we do not like in the world. So today my guest is Jan Edwards. She is president and CEO and the founder of Paving the Way, a fierce disruption in the cycle of child trafficking. We are talking about human trafficking and child sexual exploitation today. And this is an organization that she founded and it's committed to break the cycle of child trafficking around the globe. This is accomplished through educational and training programs that empower communities to break the cycle. Jen spent over 25 years as an executive in sales and marketing, working with organizations like Time Warner, Bright House, and the United Nations and other international groups before taking on the worldwide initiative to prevent children from becoming victims of this silent crime. Paving the Way has educated over 11,000 children, teens, and adults on the subject since January of 2017. Ms. Edwards has been featured in Huffington Post, Marie Claire UK, NBC, and iHeartRadio as an expert in prevention and was recently awarded a Humanitarian of the Year. Jen is the writer, co-director, and producer of the award-winning film Trapped in the Trade, which was featured on CNN. Welcome to Shift Happens, Jan. And if anybody's making Shift happen, you are for sure.
Well, you know what? We are giving it all we got. We are giving it all we got, Karin.
Yes. And what a background coming from that and stepping into child trafficking and preventing that. One of my first questions that comes to mind is what turned you onto this path and this cause?
Yeah, like what happened?
Yeah. It's a heck of a change.
It is. It's quite the alteration. So I left corporate America about 10 years ago, and I started my own company. I was doing marketing and media and launched several organizations here in the Orlando area. And I had just completed one of my gigs, and I had been invited to the UN Get Health Summit up in New York. And I met this extraordinary man by the name of Dr. Mahari. And he has a worldwide organization that gathers the diaspora, people that don't live in Ethiopia anymore. He's Ethiopian, and gathers them together to really make a difference for orphans. And you know, there's people out in the world that you meet and you're like, I don't know what it is about you, but we got to, so we exchange cards.
Mm-hmm.
And he sends me a text a few days later. He's like, hey, Jan, making sure this is you. I'm like, yep, this is me. And sends me an email a few days later. And his email signature is like this long, right? Because he's a neurologist and he works at Vanderbilt and he has his own, like that, blah, 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 right? The stuff.
Right.
He's like, hey, Jan, great meeting you. We're going to Ethiopia next month. Let's connect when we get back. And I sent pop an email back. Great. Sounds awesome. Have a great time. Send pictures. Talk then. Sends me an email right back. One question. Do you want to go? Yeah. So I'm at lunch with my mom and my daughter. My mom's sitting across from me. My daughter's sitting next to me. And I'm like, I just got invited to go to Ethiopia. And my mom, being a mom, you're not going, are you? All she thinks is danger and something's going to happen. And my daughter sitting next to me is, you're going, right? So I go home, I do the math, and I press send on buying my ticket. And that is what started this whole journey. And while I was there, I don't know if anybody listening or watching has ever been on a medical mission or any kind of mission trip, but at the end of the day, you're pooped, you're tired, you don't want to talk to anybody. And it was the end of the day, and we're driving back, and I'm sitting on the outside, sitting in the window seat, and all you want to do is look out the window. And I'm looking out the window, and it's just a moment in time, right? There were 2 older men, 2 younger girls. It just didn't feel right. I'm like, well, this is weird. So I go to my sponsor's house, and I share with him, both he and his wife are physicians. And I share with him what I saw. And they were both like, oh, yeah, that's human trafficking. And I'm like, hang on a second. What do you mean human trafficking? What are you talking about? And they're like, yeah, look, Ethiopia's got 4.5 million orphans. We're the number one source of human trafficking into the Middle East. And it knocked me back. Yeah. I'm like, wait, this was 2013. I'm like, hang on a second. This is 2013. I go, you're telling me people are selling people? I just couldn't wrap my head around it. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, Jan, this is a $150 billion business. They're looking at me like, where have you been? I'm like, well, I live in the happiest place on earth. We don't talk about things like this. So when I got back to Florida, I started to do the research, and that's when I found out Florida was ranked number 3 in the nation for calls to the National Trafficking Hotline. Now that's a good and a bad, right? Front side of the hand, back side of the hand. Front side of the hand is we're number 3, not necessarily a list you want to be on. The back side of the hand, the good news is people are actually being more educated, and they're making the call. And that call can save lives. Yeah. And so as I started to do some more research, what I was discovering is there were a lot of organizations that were rescuing. And I'm like, okay, good. We want people out of this lifestyle. I'm like, but why is no one talking about this? That's the thing that just really, I didn't get it. Yeah. Because this is a travesty. This is our future we're talking about, and no one's talking about it because it's uncomfortable. And so I went to the source. I actually had conversations with the FBI and Homeland Security and ICE and undercover police officers and Florida Department of Law Enforcement, along with survivors. And I asked them all the same question: what's missing? What is it that is missing that would make a difference? They all said awareness. Well, my background's in marketing and advertising. That was something I could do. Yeah.
What a perfect fit right there.
Yeah. So that's how this journey started, and really has continued well beyond anything I ever imagined. We just kind of crossed over 12,000 kids and adults this past week and this week that we've been able to educate in the past 3 years. So,
yeah, that's incredible. Yeah.
Pretty extraordinary. When you stop and think, I was like, whew. No wonder why I'm tired.
It's been a very busy couple of years, huh?
Yeah. And also the most fulfilling.
Yes.
That's the thing, is we do some follow-up surveys and really hearing the difference that this education makes for kids.
Yeah.
That's what keeps me going, is I know we're shifting behavior.
There you go. So let's go into what those behaviors are and then how we shift.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about, the education program.
Yeah. So we've designed a curriculum. It's all based around our award-winning film. I wrote and produced a film called Trapped in the Trade. And, it's like every time I share this, I how God put this all together. I am a God's girl, for those that may not be, not intended to insult anyone. This is my journey, my life, my story, my truth.
There you go.
How God's put all of this together for me is just amazing, in that I wrote the film in 2 days.
Wow.
It's a total download. And this was, you got to get, this is 6 years ago. I didn't know everything I know today. And the film is still very relevant. And it shows the intentional recruitment of children by children in schools. And this happens. It happens on a regular basis. And so our curriculum's based on that. As we kind of do a little, what do you think human trafficking is? What do you think it looks like? What are some of the things you think it are? And then we play the film. The film does the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
It's about 28 minutes. And after that, we engage in conversation. I'm not a talking head like I am here. I actually engage in dialogue with people, in particular the kids, because I want them to do the thinking.
Yes.
Prefrontal cortex isn't developed until we're 25.
Right.
Predators know this.
Yep.
And so you're putting, a 10-year-old in a boxing match with Muhammad Ali mentally.
Yeah.
And Muhammad Ali's going to win every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we, show the film, and we have, real life discussions about, look, you're going to be at a party one time. You're going to be out at a bar. Granted, you're in middle school, you're high school now. At some point in time, you will be. This is what you want to look for. And in high school, we really have them start to pay attention to what's happening around them. Our behavior changes. And there's always someone who's out loud, in our classes. And I'm like, don't you all know when that person comes down the hallway, even before they're there? I'm like, yes. And I'm like, I said, what would happen? And I bring them up. I said, what would happen if, this person walks in, head down, hands in their pockets or hands in their sweatshirt, and their energy instead of here is just totally. And it was really great today, because I was just at a high school today. One of the kids says, well, what if they just had a bad day? I said, well, wouldn't you still want to check in on them?
Yeah. Good question. And good answer.
They all kind of paused for a minute. I said, look, you can no longer be a bystander. You now know what this looks like.
Yeah.
And we talk about bystanders, and we talk about the impact that social media has had on this. This is the biggest recruitment tool these predators use.
Wow.
Social media.
Oh, yeah. And so you teach the kids what to look for in somebody, and both in their friends and their peers, if their behaviors change. And what about what to look for in what recruiting looks like? Is it, so with recruiting in the schools, is it peers, or are there adults that come in and do
peers,
this, or what?
Well, look, what the thing about human trafficking, it doesn't look one way.
Right.
The beauty of what I do is I'm like Switzerland. I work with all organizations. I'm a collaborator. I don't really consider, in this particular space, no one's a competitor. You've got 47 million people on the planet enslaved. A quarter of those are children. There's plenty of room for everybody to do what they're designed to do.
Yeah.
So we collaborate with everyone, including, Florida Abolitionists just changed its name to United Abolitionists, and they do the rescues and triage, and so we partner up on doing a lot of educational pieces out in the community. One of the other organizations we partner with is One More Child. They actually will go in and walk side by side with children that have been trafficked.
Yeah.
They'll do some educational pieces too, and their main focus is really children from 10 to 24. making sure they've got a place to stay, and the healing occurs. So we really train the youth what to look for personally, you know. And I said, if something sounds too good to be true, it is. It just is. You know, youth, and we talk about the signs that get stuck out in front of schools right before the holidays, right before spring break, and right before summer. You know, earn $1,000 a week. I'll ever wanted to model, you know, do this here. I said, have your mom call that number and find out what happens. And they're like, oh, you know, and we talk about the, you know, all the kids that go out and put stuff in the tubs, you know, the $5 candles, the $5 candy, and the $5, that's labor trafficking. And when it sounds really good, you know, if I'm a single mom of multiple teenage children and the holidays are coming up, it's my worst nightmare. I know where my kids are during the day, during school. During the holidays when I have to work, I don't know. I don't know what to do with them, and I can't afford it. I might be working 2 or 3 jobs. So, you know, the predators know this, and they'll come in and be like, look, I'll come pick your kids up at 7 a.m. I'll drop them off at 7 p.m. I'll make sure they get fed. They'll earn money and they'll learn life skills. When in reality, oh, they're going to come get them at 7 a.m. and they'll drop them off at 7 p.m. But the food is you're going to get to go to McDonald's, pick 2 items off the dollar menu, and then they'll charge you $5. They'll charge you $2 for every bottle of water you buy. They'll charge you $5 for, you know, calling to come get picked up. You know, so by the end of the day, you maybe make $5 to $10. And I'll say to the kids every time, I'm like, do you think, I said, are you going to tell your mom? I said, before you shout out, I just want you to think. I work 3 jobs. I do everything I can to keep food on the table. I think I've done the right thing. You're miserable, but you're going to suffer because you don't want me to worry. I go, are you really going to tell me? And they're all like, no, I won't. Like, exactly. And they know that too.
Wow. Oh, yeah. And actually, it was interesting you said that, because about the signs outside of school, because I had not noticed that. And I noticed that there was a sign around the high school taking my son. I have a 14-year-old. So it's like, this is very good to know.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that's, you know, and that's the important piece is, you know, once you know what to look for, you'll start to see stuff everywhere. And as we get later on in the show, we'll actually talk about the actions to take that you stay safe and can actually make a difference and save a life, because that's really what this is all about. And we'll, you know, on your Facebook page, we can put the number for the National Trafficking Hotline up there. And we tell everybody, you know, put that number in your phone. You know, you can call it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They speak 210 languages, and that call can save a life.
Yeah. Wow. That is definitely something we need to post.
And we will.
Yeah. And we are getting ready to just take a couple of messages during this break. And just before we segue out, one of the things that I do in my profession as a therapist is I do work with people to resolve trauma. And so I always am a big believer in preventing. So this is what prevention is all about.
Absolutely.
And if it's already happened, well, then let's go ahead and reverse it. And the methodology that I use, EMDR, I'm desensitization and reprocessing. It's a big mouthful, but that is designed specifically to help the brain, to access the brain in a whole different way so that they can release it. And you can go to www.shifthappens.live and contact me there. So we will be right back after these few messages.
And we're clear.
Awesome. Okay. I have this thing where these ads pop up and they were covering up the little chat box. It's like, and I delete one and then another one pops up. It's like, really?
And I put the hotline in the chat.
Good. Yeah, I will go ahead and transfer that over. So that hotline is for anybody who has any questions or for...
No, that hotline is solely to report human trafficking.
Okay. So for the kids who are in trafficking, you know, been recruited. Yeah. Okay. All right.
And if they see something, you know, You know, the thing is see something, say something. I'm see something, do something. Call the number.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want you to say something. You go, oh, I think, take an action, man.
Yeah. Okay. And I thought it's so interesting too how you mentioned how you were driving by in Ethiopia and you saw the two men with the two younger girls, and there was just something wrong. It felt wrong. You know, that gut instinct.
Yep. Yep.
Yes.
How's the sound?
Sounds pretty good.
Okay, good. I'm trying not to have it cover my face, and I'm trying to get it as close to my mouth without it looking weird.
Yeah. Hey, we're in this world where everybody's got stuff in their ears and things. So, you know, yeah.
Crazy.
Very true.
It doesn't look weird anymore. It's just
we're one chord short of a cyborg.
Well, you know, I've got those little ones that stick in my ear, and I was always thinking about the guy on Star Trek, that's what he has.
Yes.
Yeah, see, they predicted the future.
Oh, well, and Dick Tracy, Talking Watch.
Yes. It's so interesting. It's like,
They predicted the future.
Yes, indeed.
20 seconds.
Okay.
Were you saying that the pop-ups are on your desktop, Karin?
Yes, on my desktop.
That's probably a virus. You might want to download an app called Malwarebytes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's free.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I use it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Thanks.
You are listening to Shift Happens with Karin Weary. Do you have a question or comment about today's program? If so, we'd love to hear from you. Call in to the live show at 1-866-472-5792. That's 1-866-472-5792. Or send an email to karinw@insightscounselingcenter.com. Remember that Karin is spelled Karin. Now, back to Shift Happens.
Hello and welcome back to Shift Happens. I am Karin Weary, and with me today I have Jan Edwards, who is CEO and founder of Paving the Way. Today we are talking about human trafficking. It's unbelievable that in this day and age there is such a thing, but unfortunately it is $1 billion industry. I mean,
$150 billion industry. 150.
Oh, with a B.
Yep, billion.
Yeah. I mean, that it's even considered a business. That was one of the things you mentioned that was just mind-boggling to even think that this is happening in this day and age, but it is. And you had mentioned that the holidays is also a time that we have to be even more aware because we are so distracted and busy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well,
very much so. Well, and also too, you know, there's I'm going to say three things that you're dealing with. One, holidays aren't always happy for everybody.
No.
You know, so the probability or possibility of someone having a little too much to drink at an office party, having a little too much to drink out at a club, or going over to a friend's house to quote, drown their sorrows, and there's people there they don't know, puts them in a very vulnerable position, right? So you've got the holiday stuff you're dealing with. The second thing is you've got big holiday parties. You know, there's bowl games all over the United States. Bowl games bring crowds bring people, and the crowds bring traffickers. So there's a high level of recruitment that happens right before bowl games and right before big sporting events. So there's that you're dealing with. And then the third piece is vacation. You know, you've got a lot of kids that are anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks off, you know, middle school, high school, you know, college, 2 to 4 weeks off. So there's a lot of downtime and a lot of opportunity, especially kids that work, you know, to help with the family.
Yeah.
You know, if there's a sign out by the school that says I can earn $1,000 a week, you know, that's more than what my mom makes in a month, maybe, or 2 weeks. And I can help them out. Okay, I'll make that phone call, not really thinking. And that's the piece is your prefrontal cortex, as you know, isn't fully developed until you're 25.
Right.
That puts you at high risk of being lured in. And, social media is the number one source of recruitment and grooming.
Yeah.
And it starts off very simple. Kids today are, selfie.
Yeah.
Or if they're really angry or upset at something, they'll post something saying, I'm mad at my mom, or, whatever that is. I'm mad at my dad, my boyfriend, this, my girlfriend, that. And predators look for that stuff. And instead of a picture of me and you, our, people our age, they find, little pictures of people that aren't them, create a whole social media profile. And then they're like, wow, I really got it. My mom did the same thing to me. And boom, you start to trauma bond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it happens over time. There was a little girl here in Orlando that was playing video games with someone, and they became friends, and they went from there over to Facebook and continued the relationship. And 6 months later, this friend's like, hey, we're coming down from Minneapolis to go to Disney. Can I see you? I'd love to see you. Of course, and the mom knew about this friend and all of that. Well, that friend happened to be a 42-year-old man from Georgia.
Mm.
They met. He scooped her up, took her back to Georgia. Luckily, the police found her in a hotel room before anything happened to her.
Wow. Yeah.
All online.
Yeah.
And, the thing that I share with the kids when we train them is, look, we need love.
Yep.
Babies die if they're not held and nurtured and loved.
Yep.
We're just taller. We actually need love to thrive and survive. So if we're not getting it at home, we're going to go find it. It's human nature. It doesn't justify it or excuse it. We're going to go find it. And these predators take advantage of that. So you put a child that's being neglected at home,
mm-hmm.
And because trafficking knows no socioeconomic, demographic, or geographic boundary, it doesn't matter if your kid's in an A-rated school or a Title I school. It doesn't matter if you live in Winter Park or Windermere. It doesn't matter if you live in Compton or Manhattan. It doesn't matter where you live.
Mm-hmm.
People are people, and we're vulnerable, and we have needs. There's a movie on Netflix about a woman who thought she'd found the man of her dreams, and she was duped as well. So it's not an age thing. It's not a finance thing. It's not a geographic thing. And because we put our whole lives out here,
mm-hmm.
right, on this, it actually makes us easy to prey. And so one of the things we teach kids is to put your, turn off your geolocator, because once you're a friend with somebody on social media, they can know where you are unless you turn it off, saying only turn on geolocator when I'm using the application.
Okay.
And any app, there's hundreds of apps that have chat features, Discord, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, Google, there's dozens of them, and they have they have chat features. It puts your child at risk. So, I always advise parents to download safety apps onto your child's phone. There's actually a app called Calculator Plus, and you can hide pictures. You can hide things underneath this app that your parents won't see. Your parents will go, oh, a calculator. And that's why it's really important parents understand what apps their kids are using and the potential dangers, and that you have conversations with your kids. You don't just put an app on there and not tell them, because that breaks a trust that is going to take a long time to come back. And so, we also educate parents. We train them on, we inform them first, we educate them, we empower them to know what to say such that they can prevent their kids from being lured in. And we trained about 350 middle schoolers earlier this year. And the week after our training, this little girl, someone solicited an inappropriate picture on her phone from her. And she, because of our training, she knew exactly what to do, talked to her parents called the police, and then they let the head administrator know that our training literally saved a life.
Wow. That's incredible. And because that's the thing, is that as a parent, or probably anybody, it gets overwhelming with all the 5 million apps that are coming out every day, and what is what, and what does this all mean, on top of running a life and making money and taking care of everything and everybody,
Right.
So what is a good way keep up with that kind of stuff?
Well, the simplest way is to have a talk with your kids.
Mm.
Kids love to tell their parents what to do.
Yes.
So really simple to be like, hey, I heard about this app called X, whatever, Google. I was trying to download it. Can you show me how to use it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a great way to start a conversation. Let them contribute to you. Another way is to, I have a daughter. She just got married a couple of months ago, and when she was younger, about your son's age, our conversations were in the car.
Yeah.
Because they can't go anywhere. You're side by side, so it's less threatening, and
Yep.
it's shorter amounts of time.
Yes.
It's on a road trip, but like 2 from school, 2 from the mall.
Yeah.
And I share with parents, I go, it's super simple. Just ask them, go, gosh, I was listening to this podcast today, and I heard that the average age of children being exploited or human trafficked is 12 to 14. Did you know that? Have you heard of that? And the kids are going to go, no way. Or they're going to go, yeah, I heard that. Whatever their conversation is, you've now opened the door and you can get online and start to, oh, well, let's Google it together. Let's learn more stuff about together. Let's have a conversation about this. Because it's imperative that parents create a safe space, because when this happens, it's not an if. When your child is, someone attempts to start to groom them, they're going to know, oh, wait, this is that thing my parents talked about. I now can go talk to my parents. And I, share with the kids what they don't know, what a lot of kids don't know, is it's illegal in the state of Florida to send an inappropriate picture. If you're under the age of 18, it's actually the creation of child pornography. And the moment it leaves your phone, that's distribution of pornography. And the moment it lands on your phone, whether you asked for it or not, it's possession of child pornography, all of which can carry a class 1 misdemeanor all the way up to a class 3 felony.
Right. Yikes.
So, and kids don't know this. Parents don't know this.
Exactly.
And when I say to the kids, I said, and who pays for your phone bill? And you can see it wash over them. I go, so who else do you think you're going to get in trouble for doing this? And they're like, I'm like, so stop doing that. You can't get those pictures back. They're gone from your phone forever. And if someone's threatening you by using, let's say you've done it, right? And they come back and they say, if you don't send me more pictures, I'm going to fill in the blank. You go talk to your parents. I said, now then, your parents are going to have a reaction. It's not personal. It may feel personal, right? You may think you're in trouble. Well, you might be a little because you sent a picture, but you really got to get, they're angry because they feel like they failed. It's the number one place we go to as parents. We're responsible for everything, right? Good and bad. So if something good happens, we're going to take credit for it. We
encouraged it.
We did. We gave you something for that to happen, right? And if something bad happens, it's my fault too. Right? I clearly missed something. I didn't do something, whatever that is. I said, so you got to get your parents reacting over here because it's always our fault. I said, so give them some space to be upset. And then say, because of, I heard this on the podcast or heard this in a training, we're supposed to call the police. Let's call the police. Which empowers both the child and the parent, and quite frankly, saves their lives. We work with a lot of survivors. I know, we call them warriors. I know what they deal with on the daily. You know what they deal with on the daily. This trauma, you don't get over being exploited.
Especially at such a young age, because again, like you've mentioned, your brain is not completely developed, and this is what you don't even know who you are. You're just starting to figure that out, and then you are completely warped. And then, of course, many times they're also, getting them addicted to drugs.
Absolutely.
So you have that on top.
That's
of
how they
everything.
manipulate them.
Yeah.
That's how they get manipulated.
So I like how you give them the words to use to say to their parents and prepare them for what your parent probably is, and that it is okay for the parent to have that.
Absolutely.
I like that. Yes.
It's like, we're human too. And I say to them, I said, look, I said, mostly we're not trained to deal with any other emotion other than happy or angry.
Right.
All those other emotions in between, no one gave us training tools to how to deal with a teenager who's morose or depressed that day. Not depression as a, illness, but depressed that day.
Yeah.
Or, joyful or uncertain. There's no handbook. So we do the best we can, and we start to have our kids, it's like, okay, here's your lane. If you go out of it, I don't know what to do. So stay here. And so that's what our kids end up having that. And one of the best, I'm a huge fan of documentaries. And there's documentaries I use a lot of times when I speak to adults about, sextortion and the commoditization of women. Ava DuVernay wrote 2 documentaries. One's called MISS, Representation, and it's about the intentional commoditization of women. And the other film she made is The Mask You Live In, and it's about how young boys from a very early age are taught it's not okay to be a girl. It's not okay to have any other kind of emotion than happy or angry. Yep. And so puberty hits, and then all of a sudden you've got all these middle schoolers fighting, and people wonder why that's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then the third one, I know you're familiar with ACE scores, adverse childhood experience, right? And resilience is a great documentary that's come out that's really talked about the work that Dr. Harris has done out in California about the impact of early childhood trauma on our health. The CDC posted a report a couple of years ago that we've spent $124 billion on chronic health care from untreated childhood trauma.
Hello. Y'all got to call me.
$124 billion.
We can prevent this.
We can totally prevent this.
Yes.
Because that affects productivity.
Yeah.
That affects everything. It's shorter lifespan. The reason why diabetes and heart disease and arthritis and all of those long-term chronic illnesses that are no fun happen.
Yep.
And it's something that is actually preventable. Now, I promised the hotline, and I didn't give it to anybody the last segment, so I'm going to give it to you now. So the hotline, the human trafficking hotline, is 888-3737-888. And they're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 210 languages. And the first question they're going to ask you is, are you okay? And if you're a victim, you say, no, I'm not okay. And you say, what's happening? If you're an observer, say, hey, I'm at the, convenience store at this corner and that corner. There's something that's not right, and I'm calling it in.
And you're saying, call this number. If you see something, do something. Call this number.
Absolutely.
888-373-7888. And we will post it on the Shift Happens Facebook page because you may be driving or doing whatever. So we will have it there. And we are going to take one more break, and we are going to come back afterwards and talk about more of how can we prevent and how do we get people out of, the trafficking.
All clear.
All right.
Yay.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So, and the other thing that I really liked what you were saying was really, because I think many times parents, they get caught up in talking at their kids and lecturing.
But now I can see you.
Yeah. Hey, I'm here. I'm still here. Yeah. And you totally lose your kids. But again, it's because people don't know. We don't learn how to do emotions and communicate and listen. So
that's so sweet of you. Yay.
Aw, thank you. Sure. See, I know I have the best sound engineer in the
Yeah,
world.
you do.
Don't make me blush.
Oh, yeah, I know. You hide behind that little white square, so we can't
Mhm.
see.
I'm a mystery.
We see how you are.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
In on a little secret.
that's
You
yeah.
go to the Voice America page and you go to About Us or Our Team, something like that. You'll be able to see a picture of all of us engineers.
Ah, I'm gonna have to look you up.
I like being a mystery, though.
Yes, the mystery man.
Part of my charm.
Yes,
It's
yes.
part of my charm.
See, we have fun on and off air.
Exactly.
Yes, we do.
Now, how did you get assigned to her?
I got lucky.
Yeah, you
I
did.
didn't have a show this hour, and she was coming back to the network, and I said, "Oh, I would love to try working with her," and she's awesome.
The rest is history,
Yeah, exactly.
You are awesome.
right?
She's one of my fun hosts.
Oh, well, I like to, bring a little levity. There's so much heaviness, and we gotta keep forging on.
Absolutely, that's the right mindset right there.
Well, that's what this show's all about.
Exactly.
I love it.
Hey.
I love
All
it.
right, coming back. Here we go.
Here we go. Okay, I'm going to take my darn glasses off.
You are listening to Shift Happens with Karin Weary. Do you have a question or comment about today's program? If so, we'd love to hear from you. Call in to the live show at 1-866-472-5792. That's 1-866-472-5792. Or send an email to karinw@insightscounselingcenter.com. Remember that Karin is spelled Karin. Now, back to Shift Happens.
And I am super excited about our topic today. We want to make sure that this conversation does not, let me emphasize, does not end today with this show at the end of this hour, because we need to continue this conversation with your friends, with your peers, with your children, with your grandchildren, everybody and anybody that you know. And please, please, please do share this episode also on social media with your friends, everybody, because everybody needs to know about this topic. I have today, my guest is Jan Edwards, who is founder and CEO of Paving the Way, which is all about educating and hopefully preventing, not hopefully, you are preventing child trafficking every day. So thank you for that, Jan. This is
You're welcome.
Incredibly powerful work.
Thank you. Yeah. And I have an extraordinary team of human beings that they hear me speak, or they hear what I'm doing, and I get, requests all the time. How can I help? What do you need? What do you need? How can, because people, once they wrap their head around this whole thing about child exploitation, it's like, no, it's not okay. What do you need? So we've got about 45 mission ambassadors around the country that we train and develop in leading the same conversation I lead to students. And then we have volunteers as well. We've got about 5 to 10 volunteers. Mostly people want to be on the front lines impacting youth. And then I've got these amazing interns from the University of Central Florida. They started with me over the summer, and I requested for them to stay through the fall, and now they all want to stay through the spring.
That's okay.
So clearly I'm doing something right.
Yes.
But they, they're getting to experience really a founding organization from the bottom up. And it's interesting because there's some, organizations that have been around for a long time. And, I like to share with them, I'm like, look, at some point in time, your founder was me. They had an idea. They saw something that they wanted to alter on the planet, and now they're doing it. And then they've been doing it for 20 or 30 years. Yay. I'm 6 years in.
Yeah.
and given what we've accomplished in that short amount of time, it's nothing short of a miracle. And it's because of the people that have dedicated themselves and dedicated their time to being trained and being willing to go out to have these conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. And so there's the part where people can do something to help with the cause and prevention and sign up to do the training and such. What about the education? Because you have education for the kids and for parents.
And for parents, absolutely. So we're in the process of developing a parent training program. We're almost done with it. We're going to launch it in January, where we actually take parents through a similar training that we do with the youth. However, it's on the flip side because they're grown-ups and they get to deal with all the emotions, all the uncomfortability before they go have this conversation with their kids. And to me, that's super empowering because it's a weird topic to talk to your kids about. I was at a high school a couple of years ago and I said, look, we're going to talk about sex trafficking and some of your parents may not have even had the sex conversation with you yet. I said, so I get this might be a little weird and it's real and you're the target. Yeah. And they're all like, okay. So they get my intentionality. They get that we're here for them. And, it's really interesting because when I share, not only my story of how I got here, but I'm also Cherokee and Choctaw Indian. So, they get the generational and cultural conversations of, it's not okay to buy and sell people. It's just not okay. Mm-hmm. And, they start to really, empathy starts to open up, in particular with middle schoolers. High schoolers seem to be they're just a little bit more jaded, and parents get uncomfortable. Middle school is like our sweet spot. And that's really where I believe we can affect change because they're going to go in through middle school and then into high school, having this knowledge and really being able to educate each other. And that's one of the things we talk to them about is, I'm like, I want you to go away with 3 things today. 1, I want you to share. I want you to share something you learned. I said, share a fact. It's benign and it's simple and there's no opinion. I go, and you can look it up. The Polaris website, the hotline website has all these facts on it. So if you don't believe me, go look it up. And now I've engaged someone, right, in a conversation. I said, the second thing is, I want you to put the hotline in your phone number and share the hotline with people. Let them know, hey, put this, number in your phone. If you see something, do something, make the call. And I always tell the kids and the parents too, it's like, look, if you see someone shoving somebody in your, in a car, you call 911. That's an emergency.
Yeah.
I said, and the third thing, I said, I want you to take an action. I really invite people to engage with other people. I said, y'all know who eats lunch by themselves. And they're all like, yep. I said, look, all you have to do is just go sit. You don't have to talk. Just go, I'm going to sit and have lunch with you today. And I said that does 2 things. 1, it lets that other person know they're no longer alone.
Yeah.
And that's huge because we pretty much operate like we are. There's 7 billion of us here. It's kind of crazy how the human brain goes. And the second thing is it starts to build a rapport. And I said, if you do that over time, you just might find out that your fellow student might need some help.
Yeah.
I said, the second thing you can do, I said, stop saying yes to everybody that friends you. Stop it because people aren't always who they are on social media. So if you don't know them, if they don't go to your school, you're not in a club with them or on a team with them, stop accepting those friend requests, because that can make a difference. And here's the beauty. They do.
Yeah.
They literally do what I asked them to do. At the school that we educated back in January, 5 months later, we went in and surveyed them. Huge. 60% shared what they learned with a parent or a friend. So 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
To get them to talk about anything is a miracle. But 60% of them shared what they learned. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
And that's the power, I think, also of they, like you said, they get your intentionality that this.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. I just today, one of the kids was watching the film. They're like, that's stupid. They're teenagers.
Yeah.
I don't take it personal. And I pulled up an article that I had posted on Facebook yesterday. It was an article of a guy in Phoenix that got a 108-year sentence for trafficking a 16-year-old, and how he held her captive was pictures on her phone.
Mm.
He had taken explicit videos and photos of her, and that's how he controlled her. I'm
Mm.
like, so you may think that's stupid. I'm telling you it's real, and you can go look up the story. And they were like, you know, because look, as teenagers, everything's stupid and it's all weird and whatever that is. It's not a problem. It's really not a problem.
Yeah.
You know, they giggle, they laugh. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
Because anything's possible, right? And
Exactly.
if they know what it looks like and they understand how it happens,
yeah,
we can alter it, we can disrupt it, we can interrupt the pattern of a possible future that would not have gone well.
Exactly. And also because being a teenager, oh gosh, it's such a weird stage to be in. I think some people they're like, oh yeah, I'd go back. No, not me. You couldn't pay me $1 million for me to go back.
No way.
So having somebody stand up and be very clear about what is okay and what is not okay, because you may feel as though this isn't okay, but you feel like an outsider and you don't want to be an outsider, and you want to be cool and you want to be friends, and you want to be loved, like you said. And sometimes it feels as though we have to do things that every cell in our body is screaming, no, don't do this. But that's what they're requiring. And we're hoping that if we do this thing that everything in our body is saying no, then maybe we will be loved, like you said earlier. And that is not the case. If everything in your body is screaming no, and somebody's telling you that they're going to love you in whatever way, shape, or form, then they're probably still not going to love you.
No, it's, you know, and it's so great that you bring that attention, because the thing that I teach the kids is that gut. You know, I said, you got to trust your gut. And I said, you know, y'all know that feeling I'm talking about. I said, remember when you were little at the family reunion or block party when there was a bunch of adults you didn't know, and your mom or dad said, go hug uncle or aunt so-and-so goodbye. I go, and you didn't want to do it. And you can't quite language why. I said, but you knew. I said, that, pay attention to that. So if one of your friends says, hey, let's go to a New Year's Eve party, and you say, where is it? And you say, it's at my uncle's, sister's, brother's, cousin's house. You say, no, thank you. You can come watch movies at my house. You know, I said, you do not go to places where you don't know the people. So don't do it. You know, they're starting to put drugs in ice cubes at parties. Right. So, you know, I'm like, bring your own bottle of water, man. And if you set your drink down, leave it down. Because remember, this knows no demographic, sociographic, geographic boundary.
And they tend to know who to target because they know who is feeling lonely, who is being neglected, who isn't being heard. And as a parent, we talked about this during the break, is that many parents, because of what you were saying, that we don't know how to deal with all these emotions. We many times will talk at our children, but this is where I love what the example you used about asking your kids questions and then listen to what they have to say and then give feedback. You know, the more that we can prevent ourselves from having these emotional outbursts when our kids are talking, the more they're going to continue to talk.
Absolutely. And you know, it's funny, my daughter and I had an agreement that when she wanted to share something with me, I'm like, okay, are you venting? Do you need agreement, or am I solving a problem?
I like that.
Because if you're venting, I can turn off the problem solving, because that's what we're trained to do as parents. What do you need? What do you need? You know? And sometimes they just need us to hear, yep, you're absolutely right, honey. That was awful that happened. They just need us to agree with them. Whether we agree with them or not, it's irrelevant.
Exactly.
They just need to be agreed with. And then other times, you know, 90% of the time, somewhere in there's a problem to solve. But you can't listen for the problem to solve. You just got to listen. And that makes all the difference in the world.
And you know what? The weird thing is that we're exactly the same way. So
we are.
So yes, it's incredible what happens. So really that whole piece of learning to listen and because everybody wants to be heard and validated. And that is part of what makes us feel loved.
It is. It really is. And you know, it's interesting because and as you start to learn that, you can actually say, you know, kids can actually go, Mom, I just need you to listen to me right now.
Yep.
Well, I don't need anything. I don't need you to solve a problem. And it really makes a difference too between men and women.
Yes.
Because I have men friends that I'll call. I'm like, look, there's nothing for you to do right now. I just need you to listen to me. They're like, okay. And they actually really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
because we're giving instructions. It's so much easier.
Yeah, it really is.
That stuff. So anyway, just like that, an hour went by.
I know, so quick. So people can find me. I want to let people know they can find us at pavingthewayfoundation.org. And we're all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at PavingW. And, you can always find us and message us if if you're in need of something. And we've got some really great tools you can download to talk to your kids about.
Good. So if you have a child, you are a child, you're a parent, and if you know another human being, go there, read up on the information. We are going to post the hotline on our Shift Happens Facebook page so that you have it. If you see something, do something, call that number and report.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you so much for taking the time out, Jan.
Thanks
and
for inviting
being
me
here. Absolutely. And with that, now you know specifically what you can do to make shift happen in your world and everybody else's world with that information. We look forward to seeing you next week. And until then, go out, be your beautiful selves.
And make shift happen.
Yes.
And we're clear. Great show, ladies.
Woo!
Thank you.
Did you learn anything?
I'm always learning. We actually have another show.